You can never do me, even if Simon said it. You can never.
What's going on, everybody? Tonight I've got on a sweet girl, but one that will tear your head off on the mic. Nitty Scott, MC, joins me. Nitty, what's good?
Peace. Nitty Scott and the Boombox fam.
Yeah. What's been good with Nitty Scott recently, though, on maybe like the non-musical side of whatever you're doing?
Well, there's nothing really non-musical going on for me. I think everything has been really surrounding, my career right now. A lot of travel and a lot of changes in my life just based off of that.
Right, and Nitty Scott MC, you're originally from Florida, and you made your way to New York, and you can tell that because when I listen to your music, it has that hardcore flow, that spitter's mentality that New York breeds, is something I see. Why did you decide to make that move to New York, though?
Well, I grew up in Florida. I wasn't, born there originally, but I did grow up there. I attended an art school there as a creative writing major, and I think that's the first time that I started to explore music and poetry and writing, and I was just in a very artistic environment down there. And I put together this homemade mixtape. It was very makeshift, recorded in my boy's basement, and burned all the copies by hand, and had my own little photo shoot in the living room at the house, and just really thought I was doing it, and passed that mixtape out around campus, and local places. And when I was received fairly well as Nitty the rapper by my peers and my family and things like that, that's when I started to take it seriously, and it sort of got out of control after that, where I was a little too ambitious for the situation. What started as an experiment and a hobby turned into a career goal. So when I started to look at my location from a different perspective, as far as really wanting to pursue this, I felt like there wasn't enough opportunity in Central Florida for me to pursue what I wanted to. I didn't see a platform or a scene for the particular lane that I wanted to go down. It's very, club-based out there. So if you're not making the type of music that caters to a club, there's almost no stages to actually display your talent on.
Right.
So, when I started to look at it like that, I just felt that I had to take my talents elsewhere, and I started to feel like my dreams were too big for where I was at. So, it was spontaneous and strategic at the same time. I had a reason, but at the same time, I was in my senior year in high school, and, it was just crazy to everybody that I suddenly felt like I absolutely had to go to New York City right now. But, it's something that I definitely do not regret. It's has everything to do with why I am where I am now as far as my career goes. And, I just made the move as far as I looked into schools that were out here. I tried to, connect with certain friends that I had out here and try to form whatever small support system or base, that I could, not having any family out here. And, I left when I was 17 years old.
Right, and when was that moment, though, that you came to the realization that hip-hop music was going to be something that you would be doing?
I don't know. I don't think that it was a conscious decision, like I'm going to do hip-hop. It was sort of this fusion of something that I already knew how to do, which was writing, and then something that I loved, which was hip-hop.
Yeah.
Hip-hop was always a part of my life. It was something that sort of went without saying. It was a part of my lifestyle, a part of my taste. And, I wrote poetry growing up, as well as, the focus of my study in high school. I wrote a lot of poetry and essays and things like that. And one day I just decided that I wanted to try to take the verses and the words that I wrote in poetry and transfer them onto instrumentals, and sort of give my words a background beat. And it started that way, and then soon enough I just became, I think, obsessed with finding the right beat and the right music to complement the words. And then I started writing to the beats, where I would actually pick the beat first and then start to write it. So that's when it's transitioned from just a poet to an actual, MC, rapper, whatever you want to call it.
Right, and you're definitely one of those MCs that focuses on the lyrical aspect of the craft of MCing. I wish I could say more. Yeah, I wish I could say that more about a lot of other rappers in the game. But this all it all fits in with the Boombox family movement. Why are your bars? Why do you put your bars at the top of the priority list? Like you said, you mentioned moving to New York because of that aspect. So why are your lyrics the most important thing about your MCing ability?
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I just feel like if you're gonna put anything out, it should be skills-based. I was watching an interview the other day with David Banner, and he said something that was it just totally hit home for me. As far as he was saying how nowadays you look at a lot of the top entertainers and rappers that are out there, and a lot of people end up saying, I could do that too. And
right.
It's like, because the standard has been lowered so much that, fans and listeners are not really impressed. And there was a point in time where we only put people on pedestals because they knew how to do something exceptionally well.
Yeah.
That was what was entertaining about it, was the fact that it was so good and it was something that the average person is not able to do. So I kind of wanted to take it back to that spirit of, if you're going to support me and put money in my pocket and, have me on stages all over the world, I need to be doing something that not everyone else can do. Because, if that's the case, then what is the point in praising it? So, I definitely think it was important to master my craft and to, display lyrical ability, because without that, I don't think that there's anything special about me or any other MC at all.
Right, exactly, and you mentioned a lot of people try and do hip hop. Now you're an independent artist, and it's a good time to be an independent artist in hip hop because they're starting to make their way and make noise without having that major support. How do you though make sure that you stand out against all these other people that are trying to do hip hop? And because it's tough for MCs these days, even ones that are exceptionally talented.
Right. I don't necessarily manipulate what I do or strategize it to, appear to stand out more than anyone else. Like, that's something that I just have to give to my fans and be completely grateful for, because I think it's the level of support and noise that's being made in the streets, by fans is the only reason why people, are able to recognize who I am right now or giving me any sort of recognition. And that's something that I'm proud of, I'm not affiliated with any other group or established rapper. I don't have, the backing or the push, from any large corporation or whatever the case may be. It's very much like the secret to my success, if you want to call it that, is the fact that people like me.
Right.
People like me, and as simple as that sounds, it's still a concept that is kind of rare right now, where it's like, artists are shoved down our throats. They might as well be like commodities that we use in product placement, because we're told, who's hot, and only a certain select group of people are put into rotation, when it comes to the radio stations and the networks and whatnot. So, my legitimate secret is that I am embraced by the people who really matter, by people
exactly.
in that are a part of the general public that, make the decision to choose which artists that they're going to support and, make noise for them. So that's something that, I'm very proud of, because there is no real strategy to it other than the fact that I have attracted listeners who have decided that they like me and they support me. And that's the most organic, truthful way to go about it.
Yeah, and also, I want to get this out there that, when people maybe look at you at first, they'll say, oh, she's a cute rapper, ignoring, the lyricism at first. Now, you're the second female MC I've had on here. I had Rhapsody on here about a year ago. And, I swear between you and her, female MCs are actually the ones that are bringing it hard out there because, it seems like, I don't know, like, some of the guys these days. But, also, how important is it to you to, shake that female mold and say, hey, I can spit it out there with the best of them, no matter what?
Oh, I am all about that. That's, part of what my entire movement is about, is breaking, the femcee stigma. I would love to get rid of the term altogether. I think it's sort of demeaning that, people even have to put female in front of the occupation when we don't do that for male MCs. So, I think that I'm a part of sort of a new wave of female artists that are going to change the need to say that. When there's so many different women in this industry contributing and being a part of it, it becomes redundant to call them female MCs or female DJs or female producers.
Right.
It becomes sort of, irrelevant to say when we have several, out here doing their thing. So I think, the distinction right now has something to do with the fact that you can probably count how many female MCs are doing it out there on one hand, or maybe two, whatever. But either way, you can, pick them out because they're still fairly, rare. So I understand that that's where that comes from, but, my being here definitely contributes to the bigger picture and to hopefully being able to just be referred to as whatever we are as opposed to female whatever we are in the future.
Right, and, the Boombox Diaries Volume 1, that's coming, correct?
Yes, it is. That is the debut EP. It's, I would say it's my first official project that includes all original music and all original records. Everything that I've put out to this point has been for free and has been a mixtape. But this is going to be the first official project, and it's just a more intimate, personal introduction to Nitty Scott MC. After sort of displaying skill and showing people, hey, I can rap, hey, I'm for the culture. I just wanted, acceptance from the hip-hop community this year. But now that I've proven that, I think people want to get to know the girl behind the bars, and they want to know, a little bit more about my story and who I come, where I come from, and who I am. And that's what the Boombox Diaries is going to be about. It's very much for the fans, and I'm just sort of straying away from the beast mode sort of rapper that people have grown accustomed to when it comes to me. And even musically, I'm looking to expand and show people that I'm not limited to these 90s freestyles or anything like that. That I can actually craft a good record and be conceptual, and and everything has to be back-a-dough. And that's going to be the Boombox Diaries Volume 1. So there's no street date for that just yet, but we're definitely going to try to get it out before the summertime.
Okay.
And we're currently looking to lock down a situation for that as well as far as distribution goes. But it will be a legitimate project that's for sale.
Excellent. No hate on the 90s freestyles. Definitely love that aspect as well too. And just finally, what are some of the major influences that have made you, do what you do? Maybe in hip hop or even musically.
Musically, I would definitely say Bob Marley and the Wailers is my top influence. Bob Marley is just the reason that I fell in love with music, and I grew up, listening to him, and I just always loved and respected the fact that he could make timeless music, that, this is music that was created way before me, yet I can still relate to it. And I think that's something that is not really going on too much now, especially in terms of hip-hop. A lot of people just want to be hot right now and, record that hit. And it's not so much about the longevity of your career or actually contributing something to humanity. And, Bob Marley totally does that for me and inspires me to do the same, through my art. A Tribe Called Quest.
Absolutely.
They will forever be dope.
Absolutely.
And, even, I think what they stood for when they first, came out, it was just like this this creative movement that really went against the norm of that era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, I'm sort of a part of like this modern day, you know, native tongues sort of thing, where, you know, it's a group of creatives that are going against the grain and saying like, hey, we want to be positive, we want to progress the culture, as opposed to being stuck in what is hot right now, what is the norm right now. And that's exactly what Tribe did. So definitely influenced by them in that way. Lauryn Hill, Slum Village,
yeah, absolutely.
Fleetwood Mac. You know, I just love good music.
Yeah, absolutely. How big would that be to get a Q-Tip beat for maybe like a project or something?
Oh my goodness, I would kill for some Q-Tip production. Maybe one day.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
actually opened up for him at the 2011 Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival, so that was a big turning moment, I think, in my career as far as stages go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, the Boombox Diaries Volume 1 is coming out soon. Nitty Scott's my guest today. Nitty, tell them how they can get at you.
You can definitely holler at me at nittyscottmc.com. Lots of, you know, photos, videos, and whatnot. And Twitter is twitter.com/nittyscottmc, NITTYSCOTTMC, as well as facebook.com/nittyscottmc. And anybody who, you know, wants to book me and, you know, have me come out to their city, that is nittyscottmcbooking@gmail.com.
Excellent. Well, Nitty, thanks a lot for joining me tonight.
No problem. Thank you so much. Viva la Boombox.